Hello YouTubers, this is Optimus Prime G1 coming at you with another video review. This time it's Transformers Soundwave from Takara Tomy. Now that's 80s. Blaster in one hand, Soundwave in the other. Now on to the review of Soundwave. Masterpiece Soundwave MP-13 Destron Communications Soundwave. Just the box art alone is just awesome. I mean, it shows just everything. It shows Laserbeak. It shows that he can push his own button in robot mode to eject Laserbeak. It shows what the radio mode looks like. Side of the box. It's just, I don't know if you can even see that because it's like, there we go, we got that in there, just good in there. Back of the box. Soundwave, Laserbeak, Transformers Masterpiece, Destron Communications Soundwave. MP-13, bunch of Japanese, more Japanese, I can't read Japanese. Here's Soundwave showing you can eject G1, NG1, and the new Laserbeak. You'd think they would show like the newer versions, but I guess they weren't. They didn't have those in ready for picture taking it. I guess supposedly, Laserbeak and robot mode, tape mode, and Soundwave Laserbeak on his shoulder. And yes, you can get that pose. Soundwave just by himself. Soundwave creating an Energon Cube. Energon Cube comes with Soundwave. Soundwave with his here's his two shoulder cannon. Well, actually, I think this is both the same one. I think it's just unclasped, collapsed and unclasped mode of his gun. Shoulder cannon, Megatron. Yeah, you can put a grid on his chest and have the ship they're going to send all the Energon back to Cybertron with in the first episode, and or is it second episode? And no, it was the first episode. And Soundwave has a tape player. Top of the box, just some more Soundwave. This side, same thing. Bottom is just shows you the contents up here, and just a bunch of stuff I can't read. Just the box alone looks phenomenal. I love the box. I don't usually keep boxes, but I probably will keep this one. What we have today is Masterpiece Soundwave. For all of those of you who are looking forward to this, I wasn't going to do my video just yet. I wanted to get some other videos in, but I decided it was time to get him done. So, Masterpiece Soundwave. Now, as this mode, he has, this is actually a movable knob. It's just very stiff. He does have a slider on the side. I've heard this is on-off switch, or this is volume, and then this is the station selector, whichever you want to go by. He was a tape player. I don't remember if he was actually a radio or just a tape player, so I don't know if he would have had a station selector if he was just a tape player, so it's up for debate. These buttons do work on the front. Well, not work, but they press, I should say. This thing is actually used in robot mode as a weapon of sorts. It also acts as his data jack on the side here. Just pegs right in. If you notice here, there's two pegs sticking out, and here there's two holes. Now these actually do match up, and you can use it as a data jack. And if it's very nice, it stays in there. If you don't want to do that, there's actually a spot on the back for it to go into, just like that. Now, he has a headphone jack, which you can actually plug a real headphone cable into, and it just goes in like that. It's actually a very snug connection. If you didn't know any better, you would think it actually could do something other than just be part of a display piece. So that's actually pretty awesome. You just pull it out. It's a very tight connection. You would think it's like, how tight that connection is, you would think it actually does something. instead of just the display option. Now, I think this looks phenomenal. You got different things on the side here that could be different jacks or ports. Same thing on this side, different jacks or ports. It's very nice. He does eject. Has his cassette. There's not much to say about this other than it's phenomenal looking radio. Left, right. Those of you who actually remember radios, or maybe some of you still have them, or tape decks or whatever. Now these were actually the size of the original tapes, which were actually size of microcassettes. So here's original Laserbeak compared to that Laserbeak. You can tell they're the same basic width. Same problem on the bottom. You got bird junk here, you got bird junk here. Same basic thing. You can tell they're like evened up in size. And just for comparison, here's what a real microcassette size would have been. And you can see they're actually the same size as a real microcassette. Even the width is exactly the same. So, just for comparison. So we'll put him back in here until we're ready to do his alt mode. Okay, now to transform this, there's a lot of things going on here. I mean, it's simple, and yet there's a lot of things that do go on here. So, and the instructions say to do it a certain way. I don't necessarily follow the instructions, so I'm going to start doing it my way. First, I pop things off, just to get things out of the way. I take this off, and I'll pop this off. Come on, there you go. This one stays on here throughout transmission. This one is actually it's fixed. This one doesn't come off. It's actually it's involved in the transformation, which I find very interesting. You don't have the battery compartment that holds the batteries anymore, like the G1, but at the same time, it's still very interesting. One more thing before I get too involved with the transformation, I do want to show off one thing. I have an old G1. The G1 I have is missing its front because I was actually fixing it, and I actually lost the front during my fixing process. I will find it eventually. It's in a box in the house, but I'm just letting you know that I don't have the front on here. But just for size comparison. With comparison. And then one other thing I'm going to bring in here as well is Blaster as a comparison. Just because this is actually probably more in line with in the tape mode. Well, Blaster should have been as bigger because this is more like a microscope. Blaster's supposed to be a full-on radio. But anyway, you can see that this way, Blaster's bigger. But you look at this, there's no comparison. Look at all this stuff Soundwave's got going on back here. Flat. 80s? New. 80s? New. Okay. Okay, let's get transforming this bad boy. Alright, so first thing you want to do is you want to come back here. You want to untab these. The reason you do that is just to get them out of the way. Next thing you want to do is you want to slide this piece down. You want to make sure it's down all the way. Then you want to take these pieces and just pull them together. And then at the back, you just want to leave them up like that. Okay? Next thing you want to do is you want to untab this leg from here and this leg from here. And then you just want to pull them like that. And pull them down, pull them down. Now the other thing you can do now is just spin them around, spin them around. These pieces, most people do these ahead of time because that's what tells you the directions. It's not going to hurt anything to do them later. Actually, it's easier to do them later. Then you just untab the foot from there. If you do them first, you don't untab the foot, but the way I'm doing it, you gotta untab the foot. And just untab the foot from there. Bring the foot around. And now, just untab these. And these just accordion down. Like this. And then that piece goes that way. It was this way, now it goes that way. Same thing on this side. Yes, accordion it down, and then this piece just turns that way. And then just extend the legs. Then you can bring the arms around, and they'll snap in. And then you just pop these tabs down. They covered the back here where the two batteries were. Now the batteries are on the back now, not instead of in the battery compartment. There's a reason for that, because inside here there's a gimmick. It's a very cool gimmick, I believe. It's one of my favorite gimmicks of Transformers. But because of that, since the gimmick isn't here, the head doesn't go down anymore, so the head comes back into here. So you just open this up, just pull up the head. If you can get your finger in there just right. And then you close this up, and then this is actually on a swivel. That doesn't actually come off at all, it's just on a swivel, which is really cool because you can angle that in different poses, up and down, and all that. Okay. Okay, so now we need the hands. So we just open up these parts here for the hands. And open up this part for the hands. And now, one of the coolest gimmicks, I mean, it's not a gimmick, but it's a cool thing that everybody loves seeing, is this. And this finger, you have to be very careful because it will pop off if you do it the incorrect way. But the joints are such in a way that you can actually push this own button. And that's just awesome. Okay, I'm going to do a zoom in of the head because I want to really get a close up on the head of this. His head is just so awesome. I don't think it's going to focus any better than what it did there. Okay, there we go. That's just an awesome head sculpt. Love it. Okay, you're going to zoom out. Just readjust my angles a little bit here. There we go. And you can push his button just like that. And out comes Laserbeak. Now, the gimmick, I didn't show it in cassette mode because honestly I think it does a better job in this mode. But what you can do is you can push this back in here, all the way back, and you can actually put 3 tapes in there. Okay, we take our extra 2 tapes and we stick them in. Now, this is sometimes hard to get them in there just right. So I'm hoping I can get them in the first time around this time, because I do have problems with it sometimes. And then this one. And what the gimmick does is you eject once, and that wants to fall forward too. And then you hit there's a button on the back that advances it once. You eject again. And then you advance again. And then you eject. So, it's a pretty neat gimmick, the fact that it does that. And that's the gimmick that keeps the head from going down there, because this pushes back. Now, as for articulation, now you can see the arm articulation is very nice. It has, this finger is the only finger that's like by itself, and it's very stiff in this part back here, so don't try to pull by the fingertip or you will pop that fingertip off. Okay, and then these fingers are just together, just like Optimus Prime's hand. It's just together as a unit. This finger's the only one that actually moves by itself, and these are one jointed right here, and that's it. Okay, but the elbow is a nice elbow. You got swivel right here. You got wild articulation in this thing. I mean, look at that. It's just, that's just sick. And both arms are obviously like that. You have the legs, which you have the legs that come up like this, back like this. Now when I did it, I turned them around when I did it instead of the other way. The other way it's supposed to be is more like you can come back a little bit this way, and this way you got more like that, or you can do it the other way, which allows you for outward movement, which is like this. You can do it any way you want as far as leg articulation goes, but now see, it bends here and then there, and now it actually swivels out like that. It's just preference. It's preference how you want the legs. It doesn't really matter. I mean, this is on, because of the transformation, is on a wicked joint there. It gives you a pretty good range of toes. It doesn't come forward, but it does go backwards, and it has like this awesome articulation like this. Look at that. And you can get backwards like that too, but forwards you're not going to get. That's wild. There's compartments in his feet for weapons storage. I don't know how to get it open. Oh, there we go. You get this weapon storage in here for Rumble and Frenzy, which is pretty cool. There's supposed to be another compartment. I forget where it is, to tell you the truth, right off the top of my head. There's supposed to be another storage for weapon storage as well. I just don't remember where it is right now, so we'll ignore that. I think it's in the shins here, but I don't know for sure on that one. So I'm not messing with that right now. Waist. Great waist movement. Look at that. So, very articulated figure. And very nice. I like this. I have a couple Masterpiece figures. Optimus, Thundercracker, Grimlock, and now him. And this has to be one of my favorite. Optimus and him are probably my two favorites of the Masterpiece line. I didn't have any of the original Masterpieces. I have the. This is my first Takara. I haven't had a Takara. I have all mine are Toys R Us. All of my Masterpieces are Toys R Us releases. This is my first Takara, and the box for this thing is amazing. I actually wish I would have got some of the other Takara releases for some of the other ones, but this is my first Takara. Awesome figure. I love it. I love the box it comes in. It comes with so many different accessories. We'll get to those too as well. Right now, I think I have the articulation done, so I guess we look at some accessory. Well, it's not accessory, but we'll do this one first. It's his gun. Now this one is hard for me to get out sometimes, so we'll see if I can get it on camera here. If not, I'll do it off camera and then just bring it back in. You just stand it just like the G1. But unlike the G1, there's actually a handle. And I have no fingernails. What to speak of? So I'm going to do it off camera. Okay. So I pulled it off camera, and then just, as you pull this, the silver gun extends, and that's pretty awesome. And then you just pull it out the rest of the way. And it's got tabs for his hands. So you just open up his hand, which is very stiff on both sides. And this finger, you want to get that finger out of the way. And then there's actually a tab part inside the hand, just like pretty much all the other Masterpieces. And you just clip it in there, close the fingers around it, and there's his G1 gun. Very G1. Now, technically, I don't know if you consider it an accessory, because it's part of him, because it goes on his back, but I guess it is an accessory, so we'll just label it as an accessory. His other accessory is You have to see what I mean by not trying to use that index finger to pull it unless you're grabbing from back here. I thought I pushed back there, but I guess I did not. So, and then inside here is like a speaker, which is interesting because you never actually see this panel other than when you open it to put the hand inside, and yet they did very nice detail in here, which I find very interesting because of, other than that's the only time you're going to have it open is about for that. And then this data port now becomes a sonic blaster or some sort of weapon. So that's an accessory. That's also part of him too. So it's a data port slash sonic blaster. And I opened up his hand for this next accessory, which is Megatron. And it bends very nicely. I have never had the original one, but I heard the original one didn't bend like this. And this allows for better holding of Megatron in the figure's hands, from what I understand. So we would just slide it in like that, close. Actually, I think we got to slide this down like that. Close his hand around it and his finger. And now he's holding Megatron in one hand and his regular standard blaster in the other hand. Now this can also now come around and position a little better now that you have him in there. There. There we go. That's much better. Let's see. Now you have Megatron in that hand. A standard blaster in the other hand. Very nice. His next accessory is actually a little screen. Now the reason it's like this, there's in the instruction booklet, which is technically another accessory. There's things you can copy, and you can print them out and put them underneath the grid. I didn't do that, just because it's a waste of paper, because I'm never going to probably have them displayed like that. I mean, it's nice. It's reminiscent, like I said, of the G1 cartoon. But I don't see the point of doing that, because it's not one of my... I mean, it's nice if you like that episode. It's like once he did that in that episode. I don't think he did it again after that. And it would just snap onto here. Once you put that under there, it would just like snap right onto here. Actually, I think I have it on backwards. Just like that. And that's pretty much how it would be. Another accessory is the tape case. Very nice. You can fit your tape in here. Let's see. I don't know if this one will fit because it's the second generation tapes. They might not have big enough holes for it. Probably have to go with this Laserbeak. Yeah, see? Works just fine. And then the one it comes with, of course, also fits in there. Yeah, I think I turned it around the wrong way. And I did. Oh, it's just a neat little accessory. None of my tapes actually came with these. The ones I got were later releases that didn't come with these cases. So that's just neat. Okay, so put that aside. And then the Energon block. Now, you can just snap this on the front of his chest here and make it look like he's producing Energon. Or you can just, there's a paper printout you can print out to put in here. I'm probably not going to do that. I'm probably going to get colored cellophane and put colored cellophane inside here. And make it look like Energon, translucent Energon that way. Instead of like a solid color, make it more look translucent with a like translucent cellophane, or might just get like a overhead projector sheet that's colored and cut it just like you would the paper thing they have that you can print out from Takara. I might use that as a template for like a colored clear plastic thing to do this. So that's probably what I'm going to do with that. The paper one, it's not translucent, and to me, Energon Cube should be translucent. So that's all the accessories comes with, except for one, and that one, of course, is Laserbeak. And Laserbeak is awesome. But before we get to Laserbeak, I just want to show one thing. I want to do size comparisons with Soundwave first, and then we'll get to Laserbeak. Size comparison with Optimus Prime. Optimus Prime is a bigger figure all around. I mean, he's bulky, he's wide, and as he should be. I believe in the series, Optimus was always bigger than Soundwave, but I don't know if did you ever see him side by side? I don't remember, but much bigger character. Thundercracker. Now, Soundwave to me is bigger than Thundercracker, and if I remember right, he should be bigger than Thundercracker. But then again, I don't remember for sure from the series, but I believe he was bigger than Thundercracker. So just for kicks, we're going to bring in one last size comparison. His Nemesis G1 Blaster. And actually, for the first time, him and Blaster are about the same size. And just if you're wondering, before I do Laserbeak, let's put him in his Nemesis's chest. And he does fit just fine. Okay, so now we've seen size comparisons. Now there's one other thing I want to show you. Now I have an actual size to go by. I was usually doing my green Energon cubes like this, because I didn't have any size comparison to go with what size they should be for my Masterpiece figures. But now I can remake this into more of this size. If you don't know about Green Energon, I suggest you check out John 3.0. There is the video of Transformers G1 Green Energon, which I think is hilarious. So just a shout out there to that video. And I did miss some of the accessories, by the way, so I'm going to review those real quick. First accessory is this, which I have no idea what that says. Next accessory is MP-13 Destron Soundwave, Destron Communication Soundwave, and a bunch of Japanese I can't read. Takara Tomy I can read. And the bio cards, which are very nice. They're very nice cards. I understand these come with all the Takara Masterpiece figures. I never had one before, so I never saw these before. It's got all their tech specs right here, which is nice. I don't know what it says above each thing, but 7.5, 9, 2, 6, 8, 5, 6, 10. 5, 6, 8, 5, 6, 2, 8, 9. But what they're particularly in reference to, I have no idea. Device mode, cassette mode, Soundwave, Condor, or Laserbeak as we all know him. And this is probably not the masterpiece of the collection, but definitely a masterpiece himself. So we're going to get rid of Soundwave here. Sorry, Soundwave, but it's Laserbeak's time to shine. I'm going to zoom in a little bit on Laserbeak here. Now we take a look at Laserbeak, and this is just beautiful. It's a well done tape. I mean, the engineering that went into this is awesome. And there is a few problems. Like, when you look here, can see I have an indent here from where I keep pressing here to get the head out, because that's where it tells you to do in the directions. Unfortunately, doing that has weakened this plastic here, because it's a very weak piece of plastic that's there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do G1 Laserbeak, and I'm going to use his wing to help press this out for me. And then we can take it the rest of the way. And if I have one gripe, it's that this plastic here is very weak. I have actually two gripes. It's the paint apps on this thing as well. For a Masterpiece figure, you wouldn't expect to be any paint app problems, but here around the eye, I have extra silver paint. I don't know how well that's coming across in here, but I don't. For something you're paying this much money for a Masterpiece figure, there shouldn't be any paint problems. But I understand there is going to be some quality problems. As far as everything else goes, the actual figures itself, they're awesome. Weak plastic here is my main gripe, the weak plastic there. Anyway, that aside, here is one of the best parts of engineering right here. My favorite part is these thrusters and weapons. They're just awesome. The way they flip up out of nowhere and just, it's just awesome. It just becomes like right there. I mean, it does make his figure smaller because it has to have that incorporated into it, but I'm willing to make that sacrifice. For that type of engineering, I'll make that sacrifice. And the feet just turn around like that. They just come out and down, or you can push them down first and then turn them. I kind of do it all at once. Then these wing flaps come out like that. And there's a lot of detail going on under here as well, which is very nice. It's a very, very well made figure. Other than that one piece of plastic that, and the paint apps are, that's nitpicks. I mean, this is an awesome figure, so I don't want to detract from how awesome these figures are. This figure and Soundwave together. I mean, look at this. It's just cartoon accurate all around. It's just lovely. Look at that. The head. Now, the other problem I have is with this camera. This camera here, I've actually worn out some of the paint there, trying to get this open sometimes, because sometimes it is hard to get open. We're going to see how well it opens up today for me. And there we go. It opened up pretty good for me today. If I push it down too far, I have to be very careful not to push down too far, because if I push down too far, it's very difficult to get open. And then you can actually scrape the paint off when you're trying to open it. It's not good. But anyway, it's an awesome feature. It's just the fact that I'm rubbing the paint off by pushing down on that part, and it's annoying me that that's rubbing off. But it's not their fault. It's just it may be the slight design flaw, the fact you can put it down to a point where you can't easily get back up. But I don't know if that's really a design flaw or just my pushing down too far. Either way, it's a nice addition to the figure, having that camera there. So then you can put them in like you actually put them in a pose. Let's see if I can get them in a good pose here. Like a spy pose there. And that's pretty cool. That is pretty wicked. Could never done anything like that with the G1. Because of the transformation, you get a little more posability. Or they made the transformation that way so you would get the posability. So maybe they put the posability in and just used it. I don't know which came first, the chicken or the egg. It doesn't matter. It just tastes good. Chicken and egg. So, there's that Laserbeak. How's he match up to G1 Laserbeak? Well, let's see. Let's put him right here. And we'll get our G1 Laserbeak and put his weapons on, and we'll see. Okay, so there's G1 Laserbeak with his weapons on. Now, I always like G1 Laserbeak. It's one of my favorite toys. And the reason for that is it fits in your pocket and you can take it anywhere. Now, this is even awesomer because now you got your weapons. You don't have to have a place to have the weapons in your pocket. Now he really is truly flat. And you have his weapons too. So I think I just found my replacement for this guy right here, and that is nice, nice, nice. I mean, the wingspan on the original one is bigger, and everything overall on the first one is bigger, but bigger isn't necessarily better. By utilizing some of the space that made this one bigger, they have weapons that come out of nowhere to put on this guy. And that's just awesome. It's an awesome feat of engineering. Now, true, this Laserbeak came first before the cartoon. I mean, they could have made the cartoon look just like this. There was no reason they didn't. But a cartoon looked much better like this. This as the cartoon, or this is the cartoon where it actually looks like a real bird. I mean, not that this one didn't have a bird. Like, the only thing I liked on this one, probably that I would have liked on this one, but I know why they didn't, is the original one had actual claws molded into the plastic here, and it actually had the gearing for the claws molded in here, which I always thought was interesting. Now, I know why they didn't do that on this one. I mean, they sort of have a little bit of it molded in here, but it's not, you know, it's a little bit molded in. But the reason they didn't do as much as they did on that one is because there's a gimmick with this that interacts with Soundwave, and we'll take a look at that coming up next. Okay, so you see I have his arm up there. Now, what happens here is Laserbeak actually can snap on his wrist, and that's a pretty good connection. I mean, look at that. You can turn him upside down. I mean, you could shake him off, it'll fall off, but, I mean, that's a good connection. And you can have him look over this way and say, Laserbeak, report your findings. Laserbeak, report, or whatever, you know. And the other thing you can do is have him perched on the shoulder here. You can put him back in that pose that I had him in earlier. I'm not going to put the camera back out, but I will have him posed a little bit like... well, it's kind of hard with his head there, so I'm going to have to move him off to the shoulder here a little bit. There you go. And you can have him pose like that. So, that's very nice. I mean, to have that much built into this figure is nice and really awesome. Now, that just shows you that they are coming a long way with these Masterpiece figures. I mean, to have this like this, if they go downhill after this, I'll be very disappointed, because this was like a home run. I mean, this was out of the park grand slam all the way in the 9th inning. I mean, it's just, I just don't have words to describe. Oh, and I don't know if, did I push this back? Yeah, I think I pushed that back. During the transformation, you're supposed to push this in, and I think I did that as I was doing it, but I don't remember for sure if I did that or not. Yeah, oh no, I didn't push it in. There we go. Now it's pushed in. One thing I forgot to do. And I think I went over everything. I didn't do a size comparison with Soundwave in robot mode, so I'm going to do that real quick, just as a quick demonstration. I mean, I did with Blaster, and we all know Blaster is bigger than Soundwave, so I wasn't going to do Soundwave, but we can do a quick, just Soundwave real quick. Mine doesn't stand up very well. Mine's very old. I'm still in the process of revamping him. That's why he's missing his chest, because I'm revamping him a little bit. You can see right here. I mean, there's no contest to how the size comparison right there. I mean, that's just sick. He's that much bigger than his G1 compatriot. I mean, look at that. It's just, and you can see mine's like really loose because I gotta do some stuff with him. That's why his chest piece is missing. So, there you have your Masterpiece G1 Soundwave. Or, it's a G1. No, it's not quite a G1, but it's Masterpiece Soundwave. So, until next time, this is Optimus Prime G1. See you next time.